Hi there guys, Paul here from Paul de Klerk and Associates, and we are talking about trauma insurance, also known as dreaded disease cover to a lot of South Africans. We're going to talk about the what, why and how it works, and also just discuss some little fish hooks that you need to be aware of, little things that most people don't realize could apply to their trauma and life insurance together. We'll discuss. So, what is trauma cover designed to do? It's meant to pay out a sum of money to you if you were to get seriously sick. But not just any kind of sickness, a sickness that's actually covered by the policy. These are certain illnesses out there. So you can think about things like cancers and strokes, heart attack, things like this. But the thing is that not all trauma policies out there are the same. They can be very, very different. The one that I have access to allows you to be covered for as many as 48 different sicknesses and traumas out there. So if you have a trauma policy or a critical illness or a dreaded disease policy, whatever the different companies call them, just realize that if you're spending money on these things, you need to do some research as to what it's actually covering you for. So why do you want to have trauma cover as part of your insurance policy? There can be many reasons and it can be very individual, but there are three big ones that most people think about. Number one, to replace your lost income. If you got a cancer, for example, and you couldn't work for a while, a lot of people like to have at least a year's worth of their annual household income pay into the family. It doesn't really matter if it's a husband or a wife, two different partners. I mean, I'm a husband, and if my wife got seriously sick tomorrow with a cancer, I don't want to work, and I would rather be at home and help her fighting this thing, knowing that there is a sum of money paid into the bank that we can still pay the bills. So that's number one. A lot of people use it to pay out lost income. Another one is, what about some treatment for the cancer or the heart surgery or whatever it is? Some people like to make sure that they have enough money available to try to pay for those treatments and not rely on medical or the government or things like this. And number three, debt repayment is a big deal for a lot of people. You might have credit cards or vehicles that you want to pay off, or mortgages, big debts like that. That if you got seriously sick, you don't want to worry about those debts. You just want to have them all cleared. That's another big reason why a lot of people take out trauma insurance. So, how does trauma insurance work and pay you out? It is designed to pay out a lump sum of money, 100,000, 200,000, whatever it is that you've chosen. It's not like income protection that pays you monthly for as long as you can't work. It's a bigger lump sum check designed to do the job of what we described earlier under the why. Now, it doesn't just pay out though for just any illness out there. It needs to meet the policy wording. So you would notice if you break out your wordings of your policy, it says, for example, that cancer would be covered, but it gets down deep as to what do they mean by cancer. If you really read down, there could be a lot of exclusions in your policy as to when you actually will get paid out. You need to meet the definitions of cancer or heart attack or whatever it is to be able to claim the money. And I found that very few people out there read their policy wordings and know exactly how this works. So if you submit a claim with an insurance company because you've gotten sick and they deny the claim, chances are we didn't understand exactly what is meant by the particular illness and if it's actually covered. I'll give you an example with cancer. I'm a man, so I have a prostate, how it is. But let's just say I have a B&Z policy for critical illness or dreaded disease, things like this. And I'm diagnosed with a very, very early stage prostate cancer. Chances are I won't be covered. The cancer would need to be a lot more severe before I would be able to claim it. Fortunately, I don't have a bank insurance. I don't believe in them because I have one that gives me access to 48 different conditions and they would pay out a lot earlier. So if I'm paying premium, they will allow me to meet the claim definitions in a lot easier way. It doesn't have to be as severe of an illness. But moving on, the other thing you need to be aware of and break out with your policy is the trauma insurance standalone or accelerated? Standalone just means that it's not connected to your life insurance in any way. They are detached. But accelerated means that they are actually connected. So if you've got a dreaded disease trauma policy and it's accelerated, just break out your policy wording or your schedule and see what it says there. But it would mean that if you get your claimed money from your trauma, it's coming out of your life insurance. It's going to reduce your life insurance by the amount that you've claimed with your dreaded disease. Now, that could be okay for a lot of people because there is a bit of a cost saving there in the premium, but not much. Most people I speak to have got no idea that if they claim their trauma, the life insurance is going to reduce and potentially could leave the family with a lot less money if you died than what people realize. So not ideal. If you want to flick me your policy to let you know if it is accelerated or not, happy to help, no charge for that. But the last thing I want to talk about is just reinstatements with most bank policies out there. If you claim trauma, it's a one-time bite at that cherry. You can't claim again if you got sick with something else that's covered by the policy. So you want to make sure that you would be able to reinstate that trauma cover if it doesn't claim your life. Right, so it works. There are little conditions to this, but little fish hook to watch out for, that if you can claim that you can reinstate it back to where it was in case you suffer some other disease. You don't want to claim it once and then for the rest of your life you're basically uninsurable. So that is trauma insurance. The what, it pays out for sicknesses, so long as it is a certain illness covered by the policy. Why you would take it would be to cover lost income or treat you for the disease you're covered for or pay off some debts. But then how does it pay? It pays a lump sum check, not monthly payments while you can't work. But remember, you need to meet the policy wording, so make sure you understand them very well. And also you want to make sure that you understand if your trauma cover will reduce your life insurance or not, and if you could ever even claim it again in the future. So if all of this sounds confusing, just hit me up with an email and I'm happy to help anytime.